Here with us now, former Deputy Commander of U.S. European Command, retired Air Force General Charles Wald. General, always good to see you. So right now, both Israel and Iran are signaling that they will de-escalate. President Trump says both sides want an immediate ceasefire. Do you think this ceasefire between Israel and Iran actually holds?
Well, so far it hasn't. And this has been, I think, a rare definition of a ceasefire. There's firing every day going on, so it's almost like an ongoing war. So I think what we need to be very clear-eyed about is that Iran is not going to give up. They're dragging this thing out. They're trying to get every concession they possibly can. They're not in any mood to have a deal. And I think I can certainly see where Israel should defend itself against Hezbollah. I mean, they still have probably tens of thousands of rockets they could fire into Israel and have at times. The Iranians continue to violate the ceasefire. I haven't seen the United States preemptively violate the ceasefire. And I think it's time for the United States to do everything they can to degrade and disrupt the Iranian military capacity for the future.
All right, General, so along those lines, I mean, President Trump also saying that this U.S. blockade in the Strait is going to remain in place until a final deal is reached. He then added that things should move quickly. But as you know, General, we have heard that many times. We're now 100 days in. Do you think a deal is actually close?
Well, I'd like to think so, but generally speaking, the way things are going, I don't think it is that close. And I don't think we ought to give any quarter for the Iranians in the Straits of Hormuz. We keep hearing analysis that the Iranians have played this trump card on us, so to speak, in the Straits of Hormuz. I think we control the Straits of Hormuz. Now, the United States attacked, or Israel did too, a couple of sites on the coast of the Straits of Hormuz, some monitoring and radar sites. I think we should continue to do that for every site we see along the western coast of Iran that looks into the Straits of Hormuz that could detect ships or a strike on ships. We ought to take them out. And I think the Israelis have taken out a couple of Iranian military facilities, missile sites, and missile storage areas. We should do that continuously until we degrade the Iranians to where they are not a threat. So I don't think we ought to be backing away right now. I think we ought to be escalating.
Well, so, General, President Trump told the Financial Times that he calls all the shots. That was in regards to this reported phone call with Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu, urging him not to attack Iran. So based on what we saw over the weekend, early this morning, what do you take from the president's words that he's calling the shots, and who is calling the shots here?
Well, I think the president does call most of the shots, but I think Prime Minister Netanyahu is very assured that he's going to take care of Israel and protect them, number one, first of all. So I don't think anybody's going to take that away from the Israelis to defend themselves, and I think they have every right to do that. And obviously, President Trump has great sway, probably more than anybody else in this region, no doubt about it. But the Israelis have the right and should stand up for themselves against primarily Hezbollah, but also the direct Iranian IRGC threat. So Israel's not going to back away from an IRGC threat. If they feel threatened, they're going to go after it, and that's exactly what they should do.
So, General, the Iran-backed Houthi militia in Yemen is now saying that it's going to stop Israeli ships from operating in the Red Sea, that had fired missiles at Israel, that all ships are now targets. What do you think happens if this war expands and if yet another crucial global trade route is blocked?
Well, I don't think they'll be able to block it. I think they'll be able to harass. It's not going to be like the Straits of Hormuz, but they certainly can threaten shipping going through the Red Sea. They obviously go after the Israelis, but the Houthis are obviously a pain. They fired a couple of missiles at Israel. One was shot down. The other one didn't make it. They're not a giant threat to Israel directly, but they are a problem for shipping in the Red Sea. So, again, I think if the United States unleashes itself a little bit more, along with the Israelis, that the Houthi threat would be manageable and can be taken care of. So I don't think we should be cowering or stepping away from any of the objectives we have. I think we should be in the lead on this, the United States, along with Israel, and we shouldn't give the IRGC one iota of quarter.
And last question for you, General, and I know you've said for a long time you think that the U.S. should be stepping this up. Many critics think there's really no simple way out of this war for the U.S. So where do you think things actually go next?
Well, I think until the IRGC sees themselves as disadvantaged to the point where they can't threaten anybody in the region, and their population has to be very, very unhappy with the inflation and the lack of economy, they're going to start feeling the pressure over time. Again, I think when you go into a war and start predicting time frames, it gets yourself a little bit in trouble. So we probably ought to readjust expectations, but this could go on for a while. But I think we have an advantage. We should take care of it and get rid of the IRGC.
General Charles Wald, thank you as always.
Thanks, Nicole.